Hello there, my very good friends. AEW, New Japan, CMLL, all these promotions. Forbidden Door is finally here. It's taking place at the O2 in London. It's going to have like 17,000 people there. It's going to be silly. All of these shows are silly, as in silly good, of course. I'm not expecting the gobbledygooker to turn up and dance around the place, popping out of an egg. The surest thing in wrestling right now, really, is that an AEW pay-per-view is going to deliver between the ropes. If you're buying this thing and you want to see some hot action, you are not going to be disappointed. So I guess number one prediction for this video is the safest one of all. It's going to be really, really good. But we're going to run through the entire card now. I'm going to make my predictions. You should share yours in the comment section below. And we're going to start off with a big one. We're doing the world title. MJF challenging Hangman Adam Page. Not much rhyme or reason to the match order in this video because we don't know what it's going to look like on the night. But let's start off hot because the match that I think is going to go last kind of has to go last. But yes, MJF and Hangman Adam Page. They have been feuding over MJF not really wanting to activate his contract and Page goading him into it. And MJF on the Go Home episode of Dynamite using a beaten up Mark Briscoe as a bargaining chip to not have to use his contract that he won through the Casino Gauntlet and all that stuff. So that's the route they've chosen to take with this. But at the end of all of it, no matter how complex the actual execution, I guess, of the contract gets, I don't think that they're going to take the title off of Hangman Adam Page this soon after winning it at All In. Now, it's not that the idea that having this contract thing looming fills me with much excitement. I'm not a big fan of cash-ins, as you may or may not have read on these videos as of late. But I think Hangman's going over here. I don't know if it will be clean. Probably won't be because maybe they want more juice in this to get to some kind of rematch down the road. So maybe some kind of shenanigans. Perhaps involving Ricochet and GOA, who were affiliated with Max on Dynamite this week, now that he's out of the Hurt Syndicate, of course, completely. But I think Hangman's going over. I think whether or not it's straightforward, we will find out on the night. I also think that maybe putting in the opening slot is a good thing to do because yes, while it is one of the biggest and most prestigious matches on the card, the opening slot should be treated as a prestigious slot. This sets the tone for the rest of the evening. You want hot action, you want storyline implications, you want to hook people from the very first bell, and the people love Hangman Adam Page, so let's just do it. Cope and Christian Cage versus Kip Sabian and Luchasaurus is next. If you're looking behind me right now, that match graphic's not quite up to date here. They haven't made a new one yet. AEW, it was only announced a few short hours ago that Nick Wayne is injured and therefore he will be replaced here by a literal dinosaur. But yeah, Luchasaurus is back in AEW for the first time in almost a year. It's really nice to see after his battle with pneumonia and the rumors that he might not be able to make it back. It also fits into the story implications of this because he was on the verge of turning on Christian last year several times. They just never quite got to that before he had to take that time off, back when he was Killswitch, of course. Cope and Christian had a bit of a clashing of heads almost on Dynamite. They came together in the end with a nice handshake. But the deal is that Christian is still an asshole and Cope is not. So they're trying to find that level of understanding. They will eventually. I'm not sure what the long-term implications of this story will be in terms of what alignment they end up as. For me, heel Cope would be fun. Being a smug jerk like he used to be back in the day, I'd be up for that. But it's good that AEW is not just forgetting about this storyline with Kip Sabian, Mother Wayne, and Nick Wayne and Luchasaurus. While the bigger match for Cope and Christian is FTR, this thing still has to be resolved, and it is getting resolved. I think that Cope and Christian go over here. I do not see much of an argument for the opposing team winning. But it's a really interesting match. We've got, I mean, Cope's a face, Christian's a heel, Kip's a heel, and Luchasaurus is hard not to be a babyface because he just came back from a horrific situation and he beat up Christian and Cope. So some interesting alignment stuff going on here. But yes, Cope and Christian are winning. Next match. Saber Jr. defends the IWGP Heavyweight Championship against Nigel McInness. Nigel won this opportunity by winning a technical spectacle four-way match on Collision last week. We don't get to see Nigel wrestle often. He only dusts off the trunks a couple of times a year, but it's always fun to see. His big in return last year was one of the highlights of All In for me because he hadn't wrestled in ages. It was a total surprise. It got a big pop and he was doing it in his home country. Now he's wrestling in his home country again against the best British wrestler in the world, as a lot of people would say, Saber Jr. He's been the IWGP Heavyweight Champion since cruelly defeating my man Hiroki Goto earlier this year. Get well soon, Goto. Currently injured. Sucks. It really sucks. But this match should be a lot of fun. They're going to go down the technical route in terms of style. They're going to be trading holds. They're going to be working around each other. They're going to do all kinds of crazy little exchanges on the mat and all kinds of slick little bits and pieces. But both guys have plenty of attitude as well. Zach is a smug punk. And Nigel will give him the middle finger while listening to Oasis. That's what he does. It's Nigel McInness. I think Zach's going over here. It's probably the most predictable match on the card, right? New Japan Pro Wrestling is not going to put its top title on a commentator for another company. They're just not going to do that. That's not going to happen here. So this is one of the actual Forbidden Door matches on the card as well, because it's AEW versus New Japan. There's a little bit of a lack of that this year, I think. Thematically, this Forbidden Door show is not quite as thematically strong as previous years, but it is a good match. It's a good lineup in general. It's just, meant to be worlds colliding here. What's going on? What's going on with that? But yes, look, Zach's beating Nigel. If that doesn't happen, I'll just be wrong about it and live with it. I won't make any bets because I don't do that. Kyle Fletcher defends the TNT Championship against Hiromu Takahashi here. This is another actual Forbidden Door match, and it's really cool. Takahashi was on AEW TV on Dynamite last week. He was a special guest partner. It's a big surprise. It was fun. It was awesome. Kyle Fletcher and the boys in the Don Callis family were like, why? This guy's here. This guy's a lunatic. This guy takes crazy bumps. He throws himself around the ring like a psychopath. What the heck? How are we going to deal with this? That should make this a really fun match. The styles clash in this contest is pretty immense. Kyle Fletcher over the past couple of years has reinvented himself as a big, hossy, stooging, character first, playing to the crowd heel. He's not just going to go out and do a bunch of moves. He's going to do a move and then spend 30 minutes going like this to people because he's an asshole and he's really good at getting heat. And I think he's one of the most promising wrestlers in the entire world. Whereas Hiromu, look, if you've never seen Hiromu Takahashi before, number one, why have you been sleeping so long? Number two, you're going to get your wig blown off here. Maybe not quite as demonic as he used to be. He is still a demon, don't get me wrong. He is one of the most celebrated junior heavyweight wrestlers in New Japan history. He's a guy that for years many people think he should be making the step up to the higher weight class. And he's a complete lunatic. So he's going to bump around like a nut job for Kyle in this match. Kyle's going over. Again, like the IWGP title match, I don't think that a New Japan wrestler, a guy from another company, I don't think is winning the belt here. It'd be quite interesting if he did, but then I think Kyle needs a longer run. This is going to be one of the defining title runs of this period of his career, certainly. So Kyle goes over in a bonkers match. Could be the match of the night. Mercedes Money is defending the TBS Championship in another Forbidden Door match. People from other promotions in here. We've got two AEW wrestlers, Mercedes obviously, and Alex Windsor. We've got Persephone from CMLL, and as we just learned, Stardom's Bozilla. Look at that lineup. That's fun. Bozilla in a major American wrestling show in Europe is going to be a really fun dynamic. She's a hossy badass. And there are plenty of wrestlers in this match, especially Mercedes. Mercedes is a lunatic bumper. So that could be a really fun combination. But Alex Windsor has really emerged in AEW as somebody who has risen the ceiling. The floor, definitely in the AEW Women's Division. She's very good. She's very crisp, a very high-level worker, and you can never have too many of those. So she's been a great addition to the roster. She was kind of pitched on Dynamite as maybe the person who could upset Mercedes and take her belt here. I don't actually see that happening, even though it's here in the UK. And that's where Alex Windsor is from, of course. I don't think Persephone Bozilla or Alex Windsor is leaving here. Look, a lot of champions retaining in Andy H. Murray's Forbidden Door predictions, but it's not quite time for Mercedes to come tumbling down yet. She's got 95 belts. when she finally loses one of them, the rest are going to topple. It's going to be a big downfall storyline, I think. I don't think they're going to kick that off just yet. I think that they are going to spend a little bit of time building another babyface to beat Mercedes eventually, whoever that may be. I have no idea. But yeah, not quite yet. Mercedes wins, Mercedes retains, and we move on. Toni Storm defends the AEW Women's World Championship next against Athena. This is the only other women's match on the card, of course. And this has been built to since Athena, well, she got her little contract. She won the opportunity to challenge for this belt. They've been doing it over the past several months. Athena has been kind of expanding her role on AEW television, not just for her, but with Billie Stark as well. Her Billie Stark's her minion, of course, throughout her Ring of Honor Forever Championship reign, which she is now looking to bring here. I've seen some criticism of Athena's character work and her promo delivery in the build to this. I disagree. I think that she's a dweeb, and that's the character, and she should come off like a dweeb when she's mocking Toni Storm. That's how it should be. Not everyone needs to be cool and cold and calculating, and not everyone needs to be this perfect thing. Sometimes heels should be kind of dorky, and that angle follows this. Look, I've been a big proponent of Athena for a long, long time. I think that while there was certainly a lot of people thought that she should maybe have defeated Mercedes earlier in the year, I think this is a bigger fish to fry. And I think that Athena's going to win this, my very good friends. Title change. Toni Storm is the doyen. She's the queen of her division. She's the standard bearer, the vanguard, the person who lifts everything. She's holding the tent up, baby. And I think it's time for a little bit of a switch. I think that if you want to transition Athena into a much wider role, as she has been playing over the past month, then there's no better person for her to beat than Toni Storm. She can beat Mercedes some other time. We'll get back to that rivalry for sure. Don't worry, it's coming. But for now, I'm putting the belt on Athena, man. I think she's really stepped up over the past couple of years. The standard of her work has been impeccable. I think it's a shame that much of it has taken place on Ring of Honor, where not a lot of people are watching as much as Dynamite, certainly. So let's just do it. Let's make her the forever champion of the AEW Women's Division. Get something new for Toni to do in the process. I think it's a win-win. Coming up to the business end of the card with Kazuchika Okada defending the AEW Unified Championship against Swerve Strickland. The build for this, for me at the very least, has suffered from Okada not being around as often. It's been a lot of Swerve carrying the storytelling on screen, which is fine. He's great, obviously. But it's one of these stories that I think has suffered from the limited dates that Okada has on his contract. He's just not around every week, and that's fair. He signed that deal. He's entitled to it. Sometimes it doesn't always create the best build. However, these are two of the best wrestlers in the world. Obviously, Okada is... they're pushing him as the best tournament wrestler and the best big match wrestler around. So he has standards to maintain. You don't often see the best of him these days, admittedly, but I think he will raise it up for Swerve in the UK. Swerve's going to be extremely over, but he is not going over, my friends. Okada is winning this. I don't think Okada loses the Unified Championship until we find out the permutations of the Continental Classic this year. Is that going to be for the belt, now that we don't have the Continental title anymore, or is it going to be for a shot at the belt? Either way, I think that Eddie Kingston coming back and winning the Unified Championship from Okada is a more compelling story. So I think Swerve is in this position to give Okada a fantastic overmatch and put forth a valiant effort in defeat. Okada wins, retains, and the reign continues. The Hurt Syndicate versus FTR versus Brodo for the AEW World Tag Team Champions. This came about because the tournament to crown the number one contenders for the Hurt Syndicate, the final was FTR versus Brodo on Dynamite this week. It went to a time limit draw. They could not be separated, so now we have a three-way. Now look, there have been all kinds of rumors about backstage politics and MVP not wanting the Hurt Syndicate to put teams over and all of this stuff. It's all he said, she said stuff that you can't really put too much stock into. But if you're a conspiracy theorist, you might look at this as an opportunity for another team to win the belts without the Hurt Syndicate getting pinned. If Cash Wheeler pins Bandido, hey, they've lost the gold without actually losing. So if you buy into all of that stuff, I think that's a pretty compelling narrative. I do think the FTR are going to win this, and I do think they're going to leave with the belts. They've been sensational since turning heel, both in terms of their in-ring work and the character work and the promos and all of that stuff that comes with it. I think that AEW is going to look to build to them versus Cope and Christian, perhaps for the belts at All Out in Toronto, and I think that's the direction they're going with. So whether or not, I don't think Brodo are winning this. I think they're a really fun pairing, and obviously Brody King is one of my favorite wrestlers ever, but I don't think they're here to win this match. Either way, it's a really exciting combination. I think FTR are going to regain those belts. I think they're going to hold them for quite a while. I think that they're going to face Cope and Christian when Cope and Christian are baby faces. And yeah, then we'll probably get some rumor about MVP being upset or something. I don't think he is. I don't really know. Who knows? I don't know the guy. He's probably lovely. But yeah, that's how I see it playing out. FTR win. And now the main event. The lights out, unsanctioned steel cage match is the Death Riders, the Young Bucks, and Gabe Kidd. Look at this poster. This is crazy. Against Darby Allin, Will Ospreay, the Golden Lovers, and Hiroshi Tanahashi. This is a wild collection of individuals. And look, it's lights out, unsanctioned. That means it probably has to go last. The deal is the show is over. The sanctioned portion of the show is over. We are ceremoniously turning the lights off, and whatever happens here is not on the promotion's hands. You can't do that earlier in the card because then you turn the lights back on and go, actually, we're back. So in kayfabe, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But moving away from the main event mechanics of all of this, it's going to be pretty crazy. It's going to be pretty violent. It's also a match that has 10 people in it, which means the injured parties like Will Ospreay, who insinuated on Dynamite that maybe he needs some kind of neck surgery. People like that don't have to be the ones taking the chaos bumps in all of this. There are plenty of other characters who can do that across the board. So I don't think that any of the hand-wringing about certain participants being involved in this is warranted. I think that they will do what they're capable of. And we'll see what plays out in that regard. But to me, this is another chapter in getting towards a Moxley versus Darby Allin singles match more than anything else. I don't think it's the end of the Death Riders or anything like that, but I do think the babyface side is going to win. I think that they are going to use this as a vehicle to get to Moxley-Darby one-on-one, perhaps at All Out. So to me, the best way to do that would be to have Darby score the decisive thing, fall, quit, whatever they're going to go with, tap out, choke out, I don't know, whatever they go with. Darby he should go over, in my opinion, and in my opinion, he will. I think that is the money singles match for Jon Moxley at the moment, and ultimately, when they get to that point, Darby should beat him as well. Moxley's in his putting people over era after the Hangman Page rivalry, and after not starting off in the best possible way, the Death Riders story has really just turned into a complementary heel unit that is good at elevating the baby faces they are warring with. In this case, Darby Allin. Golden Lovers are back together. That's pretty fun. They've not teamed in ages as well. Gabe Kidd, he'll bring some chaos. He'll swear a lot, shout a lot. It'll be fun. Let me know your predictions in the comment section below. Enjoy Forbidden Door. What a joy to have a pay-per-view on, honestly. A nice time here in the UK. I cannot wait for that on Sunday. 6 o'clock. Wow. We are blessed this week. Another video on your screen. The algo thinks you're going to love it. I think you're going to love it too. Bye-bye.